Okay, hello everyone. Um, Making this video because I thought it'd be fun. So, as you can see, this is a video documenting, or roughly documenting, the first time of me building a PC. So, yeah, let's get started. Um, so why am I building a PC? Well, my laptop died, and I can't really play games on it. Or to be more specific, my laptop didn't die, but the GPU of it died. And that is not good. And because of that, um, my life just kind of sucks. So that is the world we live in. So now then, there is a couple of questions as why would you do this when we are in the middle of an AI data center boom, which means that price components are going up, and that's because um, there's no time better than now, actually, because I have a feeling only the prices will continue to rise. And anyway, I want to play games. So, yeah, of course, there's Ramageddon, but there's a few ways I thought of to get around those prices despite all these articles, spelling the doom of everything. So, I had a couple of requirements regarding what type of specs I wanted, which is where you generally start. Uh, First, you need to set a budget. So I decided, around 1K is my ideal spot. Later, you see in the video, it is too hard to stick to that, especially if you want something future-proof and relatively capable or competent. And to me, that meant being able to play at 1440p graphics at 60 FPS minimum in like AAA titles like Cyberpunk, um, The Witcher, Black Myth Wukong, and Doom, and so forth and so on. And so that leads into my next point about future-proof and or competent computer parts, and that is having a GPU with more than 8 gigabytes of VRAM. This would be good future-proofing for when games get much higher components. And then this last thing here, OLED. I did want to use an OLED monitor because I use a phone with an OLED screen, and it is pretty fantastic. On top of that, as I mentioned before, I have a device called the AYN Thor we're emulating, and that has dual OLED screens, and they are fantastic. Unfortunately, that did not come to pass, which is fine. All right, so with that out of the way, what was I thinking about, right? So I had to decide between a laptop or a desktop. So one of the first things I looked at were the Lenovo Legion series, and at my local Costco, there was this deal on a laptop that almost fit all of my requirements, except, of course, the price. But I realized quickly that it was going to be impossible to stay in 1000 range in this day and age. So, yeah, but there is just one really large glaring problem besides, of course, the price, and that is this graphics card on this laptop only had 8 gigabytes of VRAM. So from there, I looked at, laptops with the 5070 Ti, which is more than 8 gigs of VRAM on laptop models, but that those were at a minimum 1500. So I decided laptops were a no-go due to just price and, of course, failure to upgrade. So moving on, I decided, you know what, let's just build a PC. So I looked at deals online, and there's a Micro Center nearby, so I saw this 7600 X3D bundle, which would give me future proofing and good video game performance at a relatively affordable cost. Now then, there is one thing that kind of sucks, and that's I'm only getting 16 gigs of RAM, and I unfortunately decided to just stick with 16 gigs because getting another stick would set me back about 200 if I'm getting the exact same stick that I got within this bundle deal. So all in total, the build cost me, it says here 1234, but it was actually 1178, give or take, closer to 1200. So this was still a better deal than the laptop, and also compared to just other laptops with better GPUs. So here is the parts list on PC Parts Picker, and you can see the cost came out a few $100s more if you were to select all the parts that I selected through the Micro Center. So yeah, I didn't go too hard in searching for used deals. I just wanted to get everything then and there right when we were at the Micro Center. So yeah, this is it. So yeah, here's a screenshot. That's my Micro Center within 30-minute drive of me. So yeah, that's my cart there too. The monitor I ended up choosing was some like Acer model, 27 inches, 1440p, 180 hertz with display port, built-in speakers, headphone jack with audio out, and then some like FreeSync stuff, anti-glare HDR nonsense. But basically, it's 27 inches and it's 1440p. So that's that. Here's all the components just lined up on a table. Pretty cool stuff. I realize now that the CPU is upside down, but you already know what it is. So yeah, putting it together, wasn't too bad. Stick the RAM in the second slot. Put the CPU in. A little bit awkward because the black piece is kind of in the way, but it's whatever. Unscrew the heatsink and put the SSD under where it says M.2 on that little plate there. Bunch of stuff like that. And then I didn't make the rookie mistake. I do know about the sticker on the back underside of the cooler, so just peel off that sticker, then put the thermal paste on the CPU. We're good to go. And then from there, just stick the motherboard in. This was surprisingly more awkward than I thought. I didn't realize it just kind of like stands on top of like the stands. Anyway, I lined it up, and all the ports in the back are sticking out as or accessible as they should be. And then from there, was the power supply, and this took me forever.
2 hours later.
But anyway, once we got all that settled up, we were finally moving on to the final part, relatively, which is the GPU. So, from the specs parts listed earlier, this is a 9060 XT. AMD is the Gigabyte. It's got the triple fan. This came out at a ridiculous price point of $460. This thing should be $100 cheaper. But we live in an age where AI components like RAM, SSDs, and graphics cards are just being ridiculously expensive. And then finally, we have me booting on the PC for the first time. It works, and then it's been a couple of days since then. So I have Windows 11, which I obtained through my various means. I have it like all optimized, as little bloat as possible, little tracking on me as possible. Use WinUtil by Chris Titus to mass download what programs I wanted, get rid of some telemetry spying on me type stuff, setting up all the screens or my screen to be decently calibrated, have it all customized the way I wanted to. And yeah, and then here it is in my room. It's not the greatest setup, it's whatever, but hey, it works. I'll definitely be able to make videos now and play games. So yeah, I don't know how consistent I will be in uploads, but yeah, final remarks. Going back to the PC parts, I'm fine with the CPU. The cooler could be RGB just to match with the rest of the case fans that came included, but it's honestly whatever. I'm not staring at my PC, so as long as the cooler does its job, I don't really care. Motherboard, I have all the ports I could need. More USB is always nice, but whatever. The SSD isn't like some of the more known, isn't a brand I've heard of, but it'll be fine. I'm satisfied with the video card. It's the most expensive part, so we just live with that. I really like the case. I wanted a fish tank case because it's popular, but I like being able to see inside it because I think you can really get a lot of cool aesthetics, and I like the ports being on the bottom. And if you watch any reviews of this, there's also a little part in front of the case where you can put something like a little figure and it won't block the airflow. And then the power supply was future proofing. It's a little bit overkill for the GPU and all the other components, but hey, it is what it is. So yeah, pretty satisfied with the PC and its overall cost. Just one thing that needs to definitely be the next point of improvement for it is getting another stick of RAM to get 32 gigs, just to be sure that I can have a bunch of programs open just in case, doing video editing stuff and whatnot. So yeah, that concludes my thoughts. wasn't too hard to build the PC. The hardest part was actually dealing with the power supply and figure out where all the cables go. But yeah, definitely will be able to upgrade in the future. And if I ever do need a laptop that's better than what I have now, because it still functions, I can just buy one. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you all later.